You are listening to the Real Estate Growth Hackers Show.
All right, welcome to the Real Estate Growth Hackers Show. I'm here, Zach Hammer, as always. With me today, I've got Brian Ouellette, the founder of a brand new SaaS company recently launched called Ask My Advisor. I'm excited to bring him on. We're going to be talking about how you guys can dive into something called the Ask My Advisor method, where you're going to learn how you can leverage questions in order to get more business. So it's super exciting. It's a little bit maybe not intuitive for why it's so powerful, and that's why we're going to dive into it. Once you learn this method, I think, man, it's going to be super powerful for your business. So, Brian, go ahead and say hi. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you here.
Hey, what's up, Zach? Thanks so much. Great intro, because it is, it's funny with anything new, there's a tipping point, right? We're at a tipping point where you have no clue what it is, and then the domino drops. It's like, okay, that makes sense. And that's kind of where we're at. I think, today will be a good call. You and I have been discussing this for a little while now, so it'll be a good chance to kind of delve into it a little bit. So
absolutely. Let's dive right in. So tell me a little bit about your history. Where did Ask My Advisor come from? How did all of this kind of get started?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. We've all got, from A to Z, kind of the path we've taken to get where we're at. And I knew early on it was high school, we had career day. It was back in the late 80s, but the movie Wall Street had just come out. We had a couple stockbrokers. Back then, I think the firm was Dane Bosworth, maybe Dane Roush. The names all changed over the time. These guys came in. I was really impressed with them, and I was interested in, getting in the financial advisor world, and that was it. That was the hook for me. So in college, I worked with some family friends that were successful and in the business. Knew that's what I wanted to do. So when I graduated from the University of Washington, I moved out to Chicago with one of my best friends and began working on the Chicago Board of Trade out there. And I'd never seen something quite like a trading floor like that, but that's where I started really getting my feet wet and began working with the private client group out there. Got all my licenses, my 6, my 7, my 63, 65, 67, endless tests. Did all that, was out there for about a year, knew I wanted to build my private client business back in Seattle, where I'm from. So I moved back, built my business, and did that for a decade. And during that decade, we saw the market go through the roof and we saw the market crash. It was an interesting time to be new in the business. And I realized, someone in my 20s building a business when the market's going up, referrals came pretty easily, right? Rising tide raises all boats is one of the things I always say. And I was probably getting referrals I had no business getting, but everybody was fat and happy. And so I, developed my business, and it was, I'll kind of say this now, we'll talk about this in a little bit, but there was kind of a hook there. Some of these referrals that would come in, it'd be so easy. Literally the touch points, it didn't have to be a best friend of mine or a family friend or somebody I've known for a long time. A lot of times it was just a simple nudge that connected two people, and a business was generated from that. I'd get done in those moments and I'd be like, man, that was so easy. Why don't I just keep doing that? And then some time would pass, maybe days or weeks to go by, and it wouldn't happen. You realize, referral marketing often is pretty passive. Right. So I built my business, was successful, sold it in 2004. I just, at that point, had kind of lost the taste for the business. I'd seen it go through the roof, and I saw the .com collapse, and someone young that hadn't been through either. It just, at that moment, had kind of lost my taste a little bit. So I left the business, sold my book in 2004, and started a sportswear apparel company that I built, and the main business became, private label business. And that product was on NBC's Today Show. It was top fall fitness gear, had a lot of media attention, and did quite well. And but it was a completely different business than what I was used to. And I happened to be in 2010 talking to a sports agent buddy of mine. And at that time, he was developing a database of athletes and sports agents. And I was like, well, it's interesting. I never thought about, being in Seattle and Bellevue, Washington, as a financial advisor, you were targeting Boeing retirees, and that was the first round of Microsoft millionaires, right? So those were that was target audience. I never thought about working with pro athletes. And then he showed me this article from Sports Illustrated. It had just come out in the prior year, but it was how and why athletes go broke. And we'd always heard all these stories over the years about athletes having problems with their money, but I was blown away. I had no idea. It was like 60% of these athletes were having huge financial issues within 2 to 5 years of retirement. And it was a light bulb moment. I'm like, wait a minute, there's whoever these advisors are now managing these, whoever, the accountants, the attorneys, financial advisors, realtors that are managing the money and helping these athletes, 60% of them are failing this client base. So I began, the database was built. I created Pro Athlete Direct and started selling the database through Pro Athlete Direct. And it was interesting. We got a lot of media attention quickly because it was, a lot of people, whether you're a realtor or a financial advisor or, anybody in that, under that advisor umbrella, you want to work with pro athletes. It's cool, right? It's like, we like watching sports, and it's kind of a cool thing. And so we picked up a lot of attention. We had some, really, significant, a lot of retired athletes turned, realtor, turned financial advisor, turned accountant that were members of my service. Right. And about 8 months into it, they began to ask me, hey, this access is great. A lot of them had relationships with sports agents already, so this is cool. But what do I do with it? And I was like, well, I come from the business, and I know a little bit about how to build a business through referrals and develop relationships with center of influencers. Who sports agents are great center of influence relationship. So I began building a coaching program around that, and that the business transformed into building. It was a coaching business, and so for 10 years I coached these advisors from all over, the U.S., Canada, and Europe, how to plug this system in, build relationships with sports agents, and help these athletes. Right. And it was in 2000. You and I have talked about this. It was about 2019. It hit me that we're doing all this work, sports agents, great center of influence relationship. They're gatekeepers. They're by job description connected to not just their athlete clients, but all types of service providers. That's what their job is. But you're still developing a relationship from scratch. And no matter what, that's a difficult thing to do oftentimes. Because not only, as a realtor, as a financial advisor, as a accountant, you want new business that right. You don't necessarily, if it's not someone that's already an existing client, you know what kind of client they're going to be. And sometimes clients aren't that great, 6 months, 12 months down the road. Right. And as I began looking at the system I had built, I began seeing there was another center of influence relationship that was superior even to sports agents. Right. And it was an agent, an advisor, a realtor, a financial advisor's existing clients. And so many times in the business, we don't develop those relationships further. It's more of a passive marketing. Sometimes you ask for referrals. Oftentimes asking for referrals is a little uncomfortable, and it's a little bit, we always our webinar, we talk about it's a low status way. Now, we always want people asking because we'd rather have some bait in the water versus none. Right. But it's not necessarily the way we believe is the most effective way to build these, bridge your way through your clients to referrals. So I began realizing, okay, not now, as we've narrowed down that there's a better center of influence relationship to target versus sports agents, which again is great. How do we narrow it down even more? And I began looking at like the Pareto principle, the idea that 20% of someone's clients are account for about 80% of their revenues and income. Right. Well, we can narrow it down to, let's start focusing more on that 20%. And what do we do to put our arms around that 20% even more? And then how do we reach 1 degree away to the people in their lives? And you and I have talked about the stats. One of the nice things, there's the negatives of social media. There's also the benefits, right? And the benefits are reach. Now the average person is connected to about 600 people between Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, relationships they have off social media. But that's a big reach people have. We never have had that type of reach before. So that means we began looking at it, well, let's narrow it down, focus on the top 20% of someone's clients. Let's start strengthening those relationships. And then that 1 degree away, how big is that reach really? Well, it's massive. If you just take your top 10 clients, that's 6,000 people 1 degree away from your best clients. And the birds of a feather flock together. Who's most closely resembles those clients? It's the people in their lives, right? That's kind of undeniable, right? So we began
that as a principle. I mean, that's what they say. They say that that your life 5 years from now will look exactly the same, aside from two things: the books you read and the people you associate with. If you change either of those things, that's how you change your life, right? And so similarly, your income, your lifestyle tends to be a reflection of the 5 people that you surround yourself with the most. And in general, you could say that goes out further, right? The people that you associate with tend to look close to you and tend to act like you, tend to think like you in very similar ways. So yeah, I love that principle of, if you focus on the top 20% and figure out how to really just make sure that they think of you, but separately that they think of you in terms of how they can connect up their people that they know. That's the best way to get more of that top 20%, right? To double down on that principle.
It's the permission, right? I think I look back when I was a financial advisor. I look with the thousands of people I've worked with over the last decade, and we just assume you got two sides of the table. You assume, well, of course, if John or Jane, one of my favorite clients, or just a client in general, if someone, a family member, a friend, a work associate, whatever, has a need, of course they're going to send them to me. Well, yeah, sometimes they do. Oftentimes they don't, and the reason being is not because they wouldn't refer you. Statistically, we know majority of clients would refer. When asked, would you refer your advisor? They would do it. They don't. And the reason we found, and I mean, we've spent quite a bit of time on this, is there's that gray area. Okay, that gray area equals inaction. And inaction means that days, weeks, months can go by without any conversation taking place. And even those times when a referral does take place, oh yeah, you know what, you got to call, Bob. He's looking to buy another house. He's looking for a second home, whatever. Give him a call. Even that exchange of phone number, if there's not a way of tracking it, days, weeks, months can go by with nothing happening. It's not because there's not a good fit. Right. There's not because there's not a need. It's because there's that gray area. And we'll talk about the Ask My Advisor method, but it really was looking deep into that. What do we do to eliminate the gray area altogether, make it crystal clear, make it black and white, give your best clients permission to share you, and then have yourself top of mind to when those situations come up where it's an easy share versus handing off an email or even an email exchange or doing it through social media, through LinkedIn. All those things can work. I have nothing against any of those things. But what was a way to make it crystal clear? And you and I have talked about the idea of giving permission. If we don't have permission, even though it might be intuitive to do something, if someone hasn't come out and said it, hey, I'm open to any of your friends and family have questions right now. We've got there's a lot of things going on right now. You got inflation concerns, interest rates are moving around. We've got COVID, repercussions. We've got Ukraine, other things. Right. There's never been more questions than right now. I think I can make the case over the last 100 years. That this convergence of all these things happening at once, people have questions. And so when you give permission to, the realtor that, hey, you take good care of me, but, as the realtor, you say, hey, just about this house, I'm open to non-clients too. I'm more than happy to talk about anything. When it's informational based and you give permission, you open people, oh yeah, so-and-so's thinking about this. These conversations are happening all the time. How do you tap into those conversations? And that's we found.
And that's the key, right? So obviously, if you directly tell somebody, and this is part of why I think the psychology of this is so powerful. If you tell somebody, hey, I'm available, I'm open to business, and what you put into their mind is, if you know of somebody who's thinking of selling or buying, right, as a real estate agent, then send them my way. The number of times that somebody's actually going to hear that come up in conversation is far less than the number of times that they're going to hear what's going on with interest rates, or how much is my home actually worth, or those types of questions where it's the concerns, it's the things that are precursors to actually having the conversations about specifically buying or selling, or the direct way that you can help them. And so when you give your best people, you give them the permission to say, hey, I am not too busy to help your friends, right? To help your people, to help you, to help your people, whether they've been a client or whether they haven't been. That's a really important thing for your list, for your people to understand, because otherwise people tend to assume, oh, this person's busy, I don't want to burden them with sending them these people that, I don't know if they're actually ready to do anything, right? These are the conversations that go on in people's heads. They think sure, if I knew that this person's ready to buy or sell, I would gladly refer them. But I don't want to waste their time. This person might just be a tire kicker. They may not be ready, right? But in the back of your mind, hopefully, as the real estate agent listening to this, you're sitting there thinking, man, somebody's asking about what's going on in the market, or they're asking what their home might be worth. I want to talk to this person, right? I want to help them, because hopefully, that answering those questions, answering that information is a great precursor to actually getting the opportunity to earn that business, right? And you mentioned one quick idea on this. In the real estate world specifically, NAR has done studies that say that the average person, the buyer seller, when they work with a real estate agent, when asked if they would work with that real estate agent again, it's like 80 to 90% of people say yes, they would, right? So the real estate agent is doing a good job. They're providing a good service. People are enjoying the process enough that they're saying, yeah, I would work with them again. But when you look at how many of them actually do with their next purchase or their next, their next transaction, it's something like only 10 to 25% actually do. And the biggest reason for that is what they found is that a person who's looking to do a real estate transaction will essentially work with the last real estate agent that they are aware of, the person that's top of mind, who they believe is available and they feel like could actually help them, right? And so the biggest thing that you have to tackle as a real estate agent is being there, being top of mind for people. And what better way than constantly being there and ready to answer those questions, that when they think I have a question, I know the person that I need to go to, right? I know that I need to go to my trusted advisor, my real estate agent, and I know that I could go to them. I know that I have an easy way to do it. And further, if I want to be of service to my friends and family, I know the person to connect them to when they have questions, when they need that help, because my real estate agent has made it very clear they're ready, willing, and actually want to be able to help my friends and family that way, right? Like the power of that is so amazing. But again, in order to make sure that they're aware of that, you have to tee up that opportunity. You have to make sure that that's available, right? And if you don't, some people will assume that you could help. Many will assume that they're going to be a burden by doing it. So you got to make it clear. You got to give them that permission, right?
That stat is, I've seen that in other industries too, where it's a majority, like a high majority. We can just use 80-20 principle on that one, right? 80% will refer, only 20% do. And the reason being is they're not top of mind, right? And it's funny, it goes back to what you said a couple moments ago about, we assume on our end, of course we got time for our clients. Of course we got time for more business. You got to look through the eyes on the other side. Sometimes that's true. Oftentimes they do think you're too busy, which is a compliment, right? Better than them thinking you're just sitting around waiting for the call, but they think you're too busy. They don't want to burden you, right? It's, it's kind of like you got that pain in your stomach, but I don't want to bother my doctor. I'll wait till my physical at the end of the year, And it's like, well, no, this is what they're there for. And when you let them know, give them permission, let them know you are there as a sounding board. Not just, oftentimes, especially in the transactional business, real estate can be very transactional in that way. When it becomes educational, where you are the quarterback, the go-to when a question comes up with rates, with values, right, protecting yourself, because values, a lot of markets have gone through the roof. What do you do? Who is the go-to? And that's one of the things that's interesting. We've got our standard operating procedure. I don't know if we'll have time to talk about that, but this is one of the things for our members. You got the 6 steps of giving the permission, right? Well, the 6th step is wash, rinse, repeat. It's a continual thing. What do you do to keep this going? It's a circular thing. It's not just a one-off. You send an email and you hope you're good to go. It's a continual conversation you have. And what that does, it goes back and fixes that problem. What they find most of these people, it's whoever the real estate agent's top of mind, right? So it happened to be the person they got a flyer in the mail, or they saw on TV, or they bumped into at a cocktail party, right?
Exactly.
And even though we know they're perfectly happy with working who they've worked with. So it's about building that relationship, but then also giving that permission where let people know you're open. And one of the strong things, this is again, while we're making a really big push right now, the Ask My Advisor method is driven by Q&A, because the beautiful thing about Q&A, and I'm sure we'll talk about this in a minute, Q&A identifies someone's pain point. As a realtor, as a financial advisor, as a accountant, attorney, you are in the pain business. Someone has a pain, a problem. You are the expert. You solve that problem. Well, what better way than to identify it by someone, what their question is, what's their concern? We got a lot of them right now. Inflation's big. It's real. Interest rates moving around. Markets are all over the place. COVID, the post-COVID, what are we doing to recover from that? So use that Q&A, give the permission, use Q&A to identify problems. And that's really the core, what we identified and what the method's all about.
Perfect. Yeah. So let's let's summarize some of these ideas that really lead into what we're about to teach, which is the Ask My Advisor method, right? So going back through your history, one of the things that you found was how strong of the kind of business was when it was referral or that warm handoff business, right? And I'm sure we've all experienced this. So when you get somebody who comes to you as a result of action that was made, as opposed to the kind of business that comes as prospecting, or where you go is that business comes to you through a warm handoff or a warm referral. They're night and day, right? One of them is generally easy and pleasant to work with, and the other is like hit or miss. It goes depending on who you ended up connecting with, right? So what we're looking at here is we're looking at a method to maximize how much of that warm business that we can generate, but doing it in a way that, unlike normal, where normal it's sort of this passive thing that it happens when it happens, but it's hard to like really drive it. We're looking at a method that we can actually systematically more of those opportunities and be intentional about creating those warm referral opportunities and really making them happen. And the method that you've discovered is built around going a little bit higher up the funnel, where most people would gladly refer you business if they knew that they were giving you business, right? Because in their mind they're thinking, I know this person needs to buy or sell. Shoot, I'm glad to send them off to my real estate agent. I know that they're going to take care of them. They don't realize that really you could be of help even before that, and you're happy to. Yep. And so this method of leveraging the opportunity for questions, allowing the opportunity for people to get advice and get information around questions, things that may be, like you said, pain points, things that they're concerned about, that they're afraid of, that they're fearful, that are keeping them up at night, that could be of service in helping alleviate that. It creates the opportunity for referrals in a couple of ways. One of the big ones is that I think a lot of people misunderstand why referrals happen, right? The biggest reason why, as somebody who would refer, why I would do that. So putting yourself in the mind of your customer, of your client, they refer you business because it makes them look good.
Status.
That's why they do it, right? They do it for status. And so if they feel like they can only refer you business when it's ready to go, right? And that they're worried that you might not take care of somebody if they just sent them to you for help and they don't know if it's ready. They're not going to send it because they're not going to risk the status that if they send you somebody and it doesn't go well, that makes them look bad, right? But when you give them permission and you say, I want this, I'm making it clear, I'm ready to help. Now what you're showing them is that they can actually increase their status in their sphere, in those people that are, again, that top 20%, the people that you love working with, and they're people that they're connected to that are just like them. What you're telling them is you can actually increase your status with those people by sending them to me. I'm glad to help for free. I'm glad to answer these questions, because you ultimately know that will result in business for you and these warm relationships that are the best kinds of clients. And so that's kind of the trick here, is we're increasing the permission for them to send you people. And by giving them that permission, you're actually allowing them to see, I can refer these opportunities and increase my status because I could help somebody. I have a tool to help my family, my people, by sending them here. So again, you're helping them with their status, with their own incentive. It's always important to understand why people do something. And so that's what we're doing here, is we're creating the scenario where we're giving them the opportunity to essentially give their friends and family a gift, which is your help, right? And that gift ultimately results in you generating more business. Okay, so that's what we're diving into, right?
No, absolutely. And that we talk about the status thing. I think we talked about, we've got Ask My Advisor. We've got a book coming out, Referral Secrets of the Elite Trusted Advisor, and it's based on that. We talk about it, our crocodile mind, where we, back in the day, the caveman era, right? Caveman and cavewomen era. If I knew where there was a watering hole, I could bring everybody there to the watering hole. My status went higher. I had value. Right. And referrals is similar in that regard. If you've got a terrible real estate agent, if you've got a terrible financial advisor, you most likely are not going to refer them. And number one, you're not going to have them very long. And number two, you're not going to refer them because it's going to drop your status. We want a net zero or net positive when we share people. That's why we love saying, you got to talk to my doctor, she's the best. You gotta see her. You know, my guy, you gotta talk to my guy. We like that. It makes us feel good because we're in need, right? We're providing a value, we're a connector. And that's what this is all about. So there's a couple key things with what you said. The idea of letting people know non-clients are welcome is an important distinction, because that sticks in your head. Because sometimes it goes back to anytime there's a gray area in the book, we call it the friend zone, right? Where the friend zone, where things don't get done, is you need to make it crystal clear for people that, hey, I'm here as I'm an expert at blank, at this. My value goes up when I can provide value and share what I know, what I've spent years and decades putting in here through experience, through knowledge, through learning, to share it. You know, it goes back to one of the things you said, you know, all this makes business more enjoyable anyway, right? When you can help more people instead of always looking for what's the next transaction, people can see that a mile away, right? When you're out there just as a servant helping people, people see that too. And that's high value, because all of a sudden you become the go-to for XYZ, whatever it is. And that increases your value. The other thing too, we want to distinguish that we're not, again, this is open for any client, of course, the method and what we'll talk about momentarily. There's a reason we want to really narrow, think about the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. 20% of your clients account for 80%. And now in this digital era, the numbers may even be higher of your business. We want to strengthen those best relationships. Those are the relationships you're closest to, probably friends with, enjoy spending time with, enjoy having, you know them well, right? So those are the ones you want to put your arm around the most. So when you do that, when you open this up, let them know you're available to Q&A. Even one thing, and the method itself is by providing a place to Q&A for your top clients and the people in their lives. You open up an access to you as the expert for the clients to come to you with any question they have, and then also to invite people in their life to come to you with questions. Non-clients are welcome, right? And it was about a year ago. It was actually 2020. So we first started building the software in September 15th, 2020. So we're a year and a half, 7 days a week of building this software out, right? And I was talking to a longtime Barron's editor over Barron's magazine. And as I'm talking about the Ask My Advisor method, and he had a total light bulb. He stopped the call. He's like, wait a minute. And he was thinking about on the client side, the existing clients having a tool like this. He goes, my in-laws, they're afraid to call their financial advisor. They don't want to bug them, right? He goes, I introduced them to this I referred them to this financial advisor. They're paying this guy 1%. He goes, call him. That's what he's there for, right? They're like, no, we'll wait till our annual meeting or whatever. This happens all the time. So there's two things that happen when we provide a place and open yourself up for Q&A. Right now I can make a case there's never been more questions than right now. We've never had a pandemic like this, right? We've never had other variables happening all at once, right? So when you open up access to you, hey, I'm available to Q&A anytime through this specific way. You identify new needs from existing clients immediately, because you're not, as much as you think you're uncovering all the needs, there's questions that haven't been asked, they get forgotten, or they get, or windows of time of communication capacity don't get asked, right? And then number two, when you present a way where you give them permission to share you with others that have questions, non-clients are welcome. That's what I'm here for. You open up an access you don't have now. And the beautiful thing is, when those questions do come in, there's great lead services out there. There's great ways of getting business, and there's endless ways of doing it, right? When it's coming from a stranger, we, as a realtor, as a financial advisor, accountant, we want business, right? Well, oftentimes, I want to know what my client's going to be like to me, not just me getting the business, but what are they like as a client, right? What are they like 6 months from now? What are they like 12 months from now? We don't know that. That's an unknown. Well, when you're working with your best clients, you know them well. You know the people. I promise you, with your best clients, there's people in their circles that you know of. Maybe you've wanted as clients for years, all these things, right? When questions come in, they're the creme de la creme questions, because they're coming from your top clients. And one thing I forgot to distinguish earlier, it's the top 20% of your clients and center of influence relationships. So we don't want to leave COIs out of it too, because there's important COIs. But when these questions come in, they're coming from, existing clients. So of course you could answer that, take care of them for that. And they're going to just love you all the more because you're taking care of them. And when the questions come in from friends of theirs, family of theirs, acquaintances, whatever, they're already qualified because the filter has just run through your best clients. There's really not a higher level of prospect in that regard. Most likely they know a little bit about you. Most likely they've got an immediate need because it's coming from a client. So these are important distinguishers. We avoid a lot of the steps that often take us from getting here to here.
Right.
I just position this in a certain way. Everyone's qualified right out of the gate. And you identify one thing too. If I've got a chance to ask an expert, Zach, you're the expert, and I've got a chance to ask you a question. I've got a list of 10. I've got my list of 10 right here in my hand. I got a chance to ask you it. Am I going to ask you my 10th most important question, or am I going to ask my number one question? I'm going to most likely answer my number one question. What's my number one question? It's my biggest pain point right now, my biggest problem. So we eliminate all the back and forth, the phone calls, the meetings, the emails, the texts, all these things, trying to get that identified, because you get it right at the start. And now you can begin doing what you're an expert at, find a solution for the problem, put a plan in place. So
Exactly. And so what we're diving into right here already, really one of the first steps that you describe in the Ask My Advisor method. And so just so that people have a little bit of context and can put together some of the principles that we're talking about here, we're going to be going through the Ask My Advisor method, which is covered in depth in your referral magnet blueprint, which is something that people can get access to. Right. This is a book that you've written plus a guide as well, right?
Actually, the referral. No, actually that's a good point. We've got a book coming. The book, it's separate, is the Referral Secrets of the Elite Trust Advisor. That's a standalone book. We really try to do, if you notice, you've noticed this in our calls. I love one-pagers. I think one-pagers are gold because it gets too complicated. It's difficult. We want low barrier of entry, right? So here's the blueprint right here. Can't show it too much right here. It's on one page. And the idea is we want you to have this in one page. And that's the entire process of the 5 steps. Boom, 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 boom. Right. Of how to put this in place and how to just use your email, a simple email message to send out to your top clients.
Perfect.
And that's we go ahead.
And so people could get access to that. They could have it to be able to go through, and essentially everything that we're talking about here, you could have an easy to use process to go through this that we're going to be going through. You could have those references as well. If you guys want to support the show in showing that you want to get this, you could go to realestategrowthhackers.com/referral magnet blueprint and be able to get everything that we're about to talk to. So that's going to include scripts, strategies, the tactics, everything that you need to do step by step to implement what we're talking about. But what we've been talking about is really one of the first principles that you and I have talked about, which is focusing on that top 10 clients, that top 20%, right? Yep. And I find this really important to emphasize too. There are a number of methods that are maybe designed to just go out to everybody, right? Like it's the kind of thing that you throw on Facebook, you throw in your LinkedIn, you throw everywhere. You try and get as many people into it as possible. But that's not what we're talking about here, right? What we're talking about here is something that you play a little bit closer to the chest, and you make sure that when you're giving people the opportunity to have this kind of access to you, you're intentional about who you're telling that to, right? You're telling it to your people that you most love and enjoy being around in your sphere, right? That those people, you're talking to your top clients who refer you business. You're talking to the top clients who have done business with you, right? Repeat business and that sort of thing. You're looking at your top 20%, your top 10 clients in terms of who you're actually going to reach out to with this offer to say, I'm available for you and for non-clients as well. You're not saying that to everybody. You're only saying that to these VIP people. And I don't know if you cover this in your messaging. Do you actually in the scripts, you actually tell people to sort of mention that, to say, hey, this isn't something that I give to everybody, right? You are one of my most valuable clients, or one of the people that I value most in my life, if you're sending it out to like your sphere or whatever, right? Go ahead.
So great. That was a great segue into this. So this is a really key thing. This is by invitation, and it's by invitation for a while. It's not, this doesn't mean you're not going to take care of all your clients.
Right.
We want low barrier way of entry into doing this because, you know,
Right.
you know, you and I've talked about this. There's great ideas all around and new ideas come out every single day. But if the barrier of entry is difficult for you as a realtor, as an advisor to implement, doesn't matter how great idea it is, it'll get shelved, and maybe never used. So we want low barrier of entry. And there's a couple other things too. We know the top 20% of your clients and center of influencers they're your most important clients. They've earned that right. Okay. They trust you the most. They do the most business with you. So with that, this is a premium service, the Q&A service you provide them. We'll show 3 ways to implement the Ask My Advisor method. It is by invitation, and we talk about in the book, it's the velvet rope effect, right? If I'm walking down the city and I see a velvet rope around a door and nothing else going on, what's behind that door, right? It's the same thing. It's a status situation where you only make it available for your invited clients, and you let them know I'm inviting a small handpicked group of my clients for access to me to Q&A. People in their lives that have questions, need a second opinion, need services, are welcome to use it. Non-clients are welcome. When you give them that permission, that's a key thing. And what we're going to share is 3 ways to do it. One is a free DIY way that comes from the 5-step blueprint, where we go through the actual steps, and the actual message is on this.
Real quick, but I just realized we didn't mention this. The referral magnet blueprint, is there any cost for people to get that, or is that something that they could just get access to? Okay,
this is the intro. This is the intro.
As we're going through this information, just keep in mind realestategrowthhackers.com/referral magnet blueprint. Everything that we're going through, you can get access to free, so you have what you need to go through and get this information.
And we want people to use this one pager and get results. We would nothing more. We would love. Obviously, we've got a software business. The software business will grow as a result of just the method. What we've done, we'll talk about in a few moments. But everything here is built to be put to use immediately, and we include the message, and it's a by invitation message. You make the list of your top clients and you share the message, and a couple more things we share in there, but it's very simple by design.
Right.
And it allows people to put this in action right away. And there's urgency for people to do this because of all the questions people have right now. We want to, you know, I make the case. I was on a call last week and I talked about, you know, as far as under that umbrella of trusted advisors, so realtors, accountants, attorneys, financial advisor, venture capitalists, sports agents, all these people under that umbrella, right?
Right.
I can make the case over the last 100 years that you've never been more essential than you are right now. And I think sometimes we don't think about that with, you know, when we're in whatever profession we're in, it's normal to us. So sometimes we forget these things. People have issues, have problems right now, and they need help. They need experts. You are an expert. So the more you can share what you've built in yourself as far as understanding your business, being able to bring it to people, we want to help you bring that out even to more people, because that's going to help more people get through this. You know, the idea of helping more people by actually helping more people, we think through advisors, through realtors, through financial advisors, attorneys, it's the best way to help bridge people through this. And we want to show you the simplest way to do this. And there's a couple unique things, unique mechanisms. You're going to focus on the top 20% of your clients and center of influence relationships.
Right.
You're going to give them permission to come to you with the questions, because that goes back to that story with that editor from Barron's, where he just assumed if you're the financial advisor, well, of course they're going to reach out to me. They got a question, they'll call me or what. Right. People aren't always doing that.
And they don't assume that, for sure.
And it goes back to what you said, you know, the stats we turned in 80-20, but I think the numbers from NAR were different, but right in the realm of like 90%, 80-90% say they'd use their realtor again. Only about 20% do, because whoever's in front of them is the person who gets the business.
Right.
What do you do to stay in front of them? We let them know, hey, I'm here. Let me answer your questions. Right.
Right. Well, and further, you know, part of that process in terms of being able to leverage questions to continually stay in front of people, you know, as you're going through life, what some of these questions are, right? Like that are coming up, right? So, you know, again, some of the things that have happened, you know, in recent years. I mean, we're in right now. We're recording this in the middle of May of 2022. It is. There's been a lot that's gone on in the past couple of years, right? So, you know, when COVID hit, people's questions about Can I actually show my home right now? What's going on in the market? Can I effectively sell right now? Can I effectively buy right now? Right? Like you could send out an email message to your top people that says, hey, I know these are some of the questions that are coming around, but there's probably more. If you have these questions, feel free. Here's the tool. Here's where you can go and ask any question, no matter whether you think it's a big question or a small question. I'm here for you. Right? You say these things, you give people permission, give them the space to do it, then you get those in. And then further, life continued to go on, right? We have, with COVID, things start opening up more, right? And so now people are like, is now the right time? Has it opened up enough? Am I able to sell my house now? Is it a better time? Is it a worse time? People may be hearing about, all the the movement happening in the market, right? Where people are moving from bigger metro areas to smaller metro areas, and from smaller metro areas out to rural areas. They might be hearing these things. They might have questions about them to say, is it a good time to sell? Is it a good time to buy, and why? You could use that messaging that you already know is going on, right? The stuff that you know is sort of there and present and causing confusion in the market for people, and use that as a way to introduce that opportunity to say, hey, I know there's questions going on around this. If you happen to be having thoughts or concerns or hear of anybody who has thoughts or concerns, I want to let you know I'm available. And I want to let you know I'm available for you, for non-clients alike. If you know of somebody or if you yourself have questions, here's where you go. Here's where you can get answers to your questions. I want to be there for you, right? Using that as a way just to stay in touch, right? You could send out an email like that once a month and very readily stay top of mind with people and constantly be giving them the ability to say, hey, I know where I could go to get answers to these questions. So when, in the real estate world, people do a transaction on average every 5 to 7 years, you have something to be telling them in that interim period, from that 5 to 7 years in between, when they may not normally be thinking about real estate. You still have that opportunity to keep top of mind and be there as a tool, as a resource for them to refer, for them to ask. It's fantastic. So go ahead.
Well, I'm thinking with the stat you shared that, to me in the real estate world, the most important thing is to be top of mind, right? Because we already know they'll refer you, but it doesn't matter if someone gets in front, if between that gap, someone gets in front, that's the person they're going to do the transaction with. So it is staying in front of them right now, and use this time right now where there are a lot of questions to open yourself up more than you ever have. And now we show a way to instantly narrow that down to your best client. So there's no shotgun approach. It's very laser focused, and you're going to do a couple things: strengthen those relationships with your best clients, and you're going to tap into those people 1 degree away. And the stat, I hadn't thought about that in a while. The 5 to 7 years, the average, I think it's 5, 7 on the higher end of that. I think it is. And some days that person was a great client, but I guess I got 7 years to wait. Well, if one person's connected to 600 people, how many out of that 600 people are within that 7-year window, or 7 months, or 7 days, or right now, right? Many, dozens, maybe, whatever. It's a huge number. And they need to multiply that by just your top 10 clients. So it's 6,000 people. Oh, by the way, every new client, you had another reach of 600. It's the idea with what we've built here is you go into your business, you grow within your business for that top 20%. You never have to market outside of your business again, because you've got the numbers are there, Right.
Yeah, the way that those numbers work out, it's actually Ninja Selling talks about this, which is a book that it's a general selling principles, but really it's geared largely toward the real estate industry. They talk about that about for every 200 people, 200 homeowners at least in your list that you have, there's about at least 30 transactions just within those people. And that's based on an average turnover rate in most markets of about 10%. And actually, I think it might be closer to 15%, but either way, about 10%. And knowing that that for every transaction, there's two sides, right? So there's a sell side, there's a buy side. So if you know that means that there's technically about 40 transactions that would be happening out of 200 people, if with a turnover rate in an area of about 10%. So that's 40 transactions, and you're just dropping the number a bit to say, hey, not every one of those transactions is going to be able to be grabbed, right? But 30 is very doable, right? That's assuming a 5% drop on that. So anyway, for every 200 people, just those people, there's about 30 transactions to be had just there. And that's not even accounting for the referrals, and for the people that are outside of that world as well. So when you're giving people an opportunity to refer you, and you're staying top of mind with those people, man, there's tons of opportunity, even in numbers, which people often miss.
Well, the reminder with all that too, and I have to be aware of this anytime I'm, talking, doing calls like this, or communicating with clients, whatever. It's a constant reminder, because we want to look at it as a sum of like all these people.
Right.
This is not a sum of all people. It's your best clients. It's
Right.
the ones you're closest to, the ones you work with close, the ones you're friends with, all these things. And it's the people 1 degree away from there. There's not the people 1 degree from everybody out there. So that works even better for you.
Right.
Especially, if you're established in the business. I think that's, in our business, I think sometimes it's natural for us not to look at the sheer numbers of what our reach is. And when you begin looking at these numbers, like, holy cow,
right,
I really don't have to go and do all this shotgun marketing elsewhere. I go in here,
right,
and those good relationships, they get better, right? So.
Yeah, it's okay, cool. So stepping back and looking through what we've covered so far in terms of the process that people could go out and implement, right? So first off, we're narrowing down, we're focusing on our top 10 clients, right? We're finding those people, the clients, sphere of influence, just the essentially we're going into our list and we're thinking, who are the people that I want more people like this? I want to work with more people like this, right? And so that's going to mean a few different things. It's going to be the friends and family that you know and love, just the people that you enjoy being around. That's going to mean the people who are doing the most business with you that you enjoy being around, and the people who are referring you the most business, right? So go into your Rolodex, go into your contact book, go into your Facebook friends list, and you're going to look through it. You're going to think, who are the people that I just most love in this world in terms of doing business with, and the kinds of people that I like being around, right? You're going to find your top 10 people there, right? And then our next step that we're talking about here is that you got to send them an email, right? You got to send them an email to let them know that you are available to help them. And again, the script for this, that's covered in your resource, the Referral Magnet Blueprint, correct? So what that actually looks like in terms of what you send is already covered. But the basic idea is we're letting them know, hey, we're open, we're available for questions for you, for non-clients alike, and teeing that up. You've got it covered better. We won't try to reiterate it perfectly, but that's essentially the basic idea that we're doing there. And then the next thing, and this is actually really important to me, because this is the tool that, like, you could just send an email that says like, hey, let me know if you have any questions, and they could reply to the email with their questions, and that would be one way to do it. But there's something that's important to know. I think the idea that you actually have a place to receive the questions is actually a really important part of this process, because if you don't, going back to your example of the financial advisor and the parents who were afraid to call them, right?
Yeah.
Even though you may know in your mind that somebody says that they're available, you may still in the back of your mind feel a little bit like, am I going to be an inconvenience? But when there's a tool, when there's a place, when there's like this third party thing that, I could just simply go in, I could type in my question, I could use this tool. It's a much stronger signal that I'm not going to be inconveniencing the person, right? Because I don't have to talk to them directly in order to get the question out there. And so it's a little bit more obvious that I could do this in a way that doesn't feel like an inconvenience, no matter if it's a big question or a little question, right? And so having a place to send somebody to receive those questions, and for them to be able to refer somebody else to say, hey, here's the link where you can go and leverage this so that you could get answers to these questions as well, knowing that it's still going to be a personal touch on the other end, right? They're going to ask the question and still be able to get that personal interaction. That to me, that's like the secret to this, right? I like it, when you look at I love the idea of focusing on the top 20%, right? That's powerful in and of itself. That's like a massive gold nugget by itself.
Oh yeah.
Knowing the next step is to say what's a great tool that we could leverage with that top 20% to show that we're of value, give them something easy to do, being available for questions. That by itself is powerful, right? But like the thing that makes it all where it's like, hey, you've got a good process just with those ideas. The thing that really takes it and is like rocket fuel behind it is having that place to receive those questions that doesn't require you to be on the other end of the phone in order to receive that opportunity, right? Like that you could receive the opportunity regardless of how busy you are, how busy they are. That is part of what makes this like lightning, where it makes a ton of sense for why you're able to generate so many more of these questions, why people feel like they really do have the permission to leverage it, to refer you, to refer out these questions. So would you talk a bit about that, about where you receive the questions and kind of what you want to do on a page like that?
Yeah, that was a great way you laid that out. And, one of the things we promised at the beginning of this was, show 3 ways to put this method to use. One is the free way right here. It's on the blueprint. We show you the exact steps. You can literally have the email sent out in the first 10 minutes of having this. You can have it copy pasted, minor edits with your name and stuff, and sent out. One little secret with this, and one secret with all 3 I'll share, is every message that goes out, snail mail has become super hot again. When you get something in the mail, right now, there's a period of time, there's a great meme out there that shows, 20 years ago, getting something in mail, you shove it aside. Oh, you got mail. Go to your inbox. Well, it's flipped. Now we're getting hundreds of emails a day. We don't like hearing that you got mail. I don't think AOL even do that anymore, right?
Right.
So that's we're getting too many emails. But when you get something in the mail, that's a big deal. And remember, again, it's going to your top 20%. It's a distinct. I have to, the wash, rinse, repeat. I have to keep reminding people of this too, that this is not, sometimes we mix general marketing with laser marketing, laser focused marketing, right?
Right.
Every communication you have is with your top clients. So they're most likely, the open rate of that email is extremely high when you send the message to them, right? Same thing when they get, I wish I had an envelope here to show the envelope, but when you get an envelope in the mail from your realtor, right?
Right.
Another little tip we say is handwrite the outside of the envelope. It's only going to 10, 15, 20 people. You can do that, right? Have an assistant do it, whatever. Handwrite it. It's going to get read. You take that same message that we share in here, the same day you email it, it gets dropped in snail mail. They get in a day or 2 or whatever. That touch, you're in front of them. You're showing you care, which we should be doing anyway, but we don't. As we get caught up in life, we don't do it, right? It's an automatic way that your value goes up just by doing that. That touch is huge. And especially getting something handwritten like that. The second way we show, so there's the free way, it's the blueprint. The second way is, plugging existing services together to get the same outcome, where you move people to Q&A with you, give permission to Q&A with you.
Right.
And then the services, you run through the service. That's another do-it-yourself way. And then the done-for-you way is the software we've been building for, coming up on, it'll be 2 years in September. Literally 7 days a week building this thing out, and the software is live, it's running, and we're real proud of it. The done for you way is where you got a simple software within 15 minutes. You can have everything built with you. If you can, we've built this to be 3rd grade simple. So if you can fill in the blank, if you can answer some questions about yourself, where everyone's favorite person to talk about is themselves, right? If you can answer some questions about yourself and hit publish, you literally can have an advisor Q&A portal, is what we call them. URL ready to share in 15 minutes. That's incredibly powerful because we want that low barrier of entry to get in. Right. That's the 3 ways. So so the first way is the blueprint. You can grab on the URL you share. What was that URL again you shared? That's
it's realestategrowthhackers.com/referral magnet blueprint.
Perfect. That's the free way. The second way is plugging services in there. Our existing, so the goal with the Ask My Advisor method is you want to provide a simple way for your best clients and the people in their lives to Q&A with you. And so the service you would plug in would be the outside, the mail services, there's landing page services, mail services, and CRMs out there that you would bring in and plugged in. You'd put a landing page together, you give them a place to ask you questions, and then some of the mail services have lead page, landing pages built in. The CRMs, typically you've got something, if you're a realtor and have been in the business for a while, you've got something you're using for your CRM, and maybe even a landing page builder or whatever. But you plug that together and what you want to do is give your clients, invite them. You'll use what you get off this blueprint, the message, invite them to a specific place to Q&A with you. Right. And you can run it that way. The third way, which is, I don't know why it's our favorite way. It's strange, Our third way is the one that's, literally, even though the software we've been built since September of 2020, it's really, I've been in business since, outside of college for, a few decades now. That's weird. I'm not going to say how many years. Decades of experience have really gone into building this. It comes from my starting out as a financial advisor on one side of the desk, right? Coaching advisors, realtors, attorneys, accountants on the other side, And then me now being a software developer that's plugged everything in to build the system, and really built it in a way that we want it simple. And I think I told you this. My youngest is second grade, Zach, and I haven't had him test the software. We say third grade simple. Maybe next year, summer's coming up, he'll be a third grader. I'll have him put him down, see if he can fill it out. But it really is designed to literally fill in the blank, hit publish, and then you've got your URL.
Right.
askmyadvisor.app/ whatever you want, your name, your business, whatever. And now that URL is available to move people to Q&A with you. And the beautiful thing, we won't have a chance, I don't think, to show. I think we'll do a follow-up webinar where I can show you the actual software. But on this platform, this advisor Q&A portal, it's a single page, has information about you, a little information, a quick interview, we call it, with Ask My Advisor, where it's a kind of a speed round. You learn a little bit about the real estate agent or the financial advisor, whomever. Those questions, kind of an interesting thing. There's a method to how we've asked those questions in the interview process. Is it's to pull out, what got you in the business? What do you specialize in? What's your favorite part of the business? And then we go through a speed round. What's favorite book, favorite place to travel, favorite food, all these things. It's funny. A lot of times, someone's best client, they'll look at that and be like, well, I didn't know your favorite place. You just were down. You were in Italy, and I was just there 6 months ago. And the things they forgot about you just from coming to that Q&A page. People that are sent there and invited there by the clients that share it will learn within a minute a whole heck of a lot about you, and that builds an instant rapport. Oh, by the way, remember, this is not general people coming to this Q&A portal. These were referred by your top clients. So they already most likely know something about you. They're going to learn a little bit more, and then boom, you got a button to click, ask my question here. Question comes in. As the advisor, as the real estate agent, you get a notification in your inbox instantly. We've got a phone app. It's the first time I built a phone app. Apple is tricky. There's a reason Apple does not have garbage apps on there. They were some work to get our app on, but we're on Apple, we're on Google stores. The cool thing about that's kind of a secret weapon, the notifications through the app, is if I get, let's pretend, let's do a hypothetical here. I've got my client, and one of his best friends is someone I've wanted as a client for a long time.
Right.
And they just so happened, and the question just came in through my portal. I'm so excited, right?
Right.
When I get that and I can reply within minutes to that person, again, you're not answering the question with the reply. We don't want that yet. It's touch. When I can just sit here and there's three options there's a built-in CRM in the phone app and in the member dashboard online. So we have a built-in CRM already, and it communicates with Salesforce and all the other ones. We can API into other ones. If I can just say, hey, Bob, got your question. Thanks for reaching out. I'll get back to you at blank time, whatever that is.
Right.
Just that little touch. If their current real estate agent, financial advisor, accountant, attorney is slow to get back to them, right? It takes hours, maybe it takes days, maybe it doesn't get back to them at all. These industries, they get pulled every year. And the top 5 list, the top 5 nags clients have,
it's always communication.
It's always communication, right?
Yep.
You've just gotten back to them with a quick note, didn't even answer the question. And they get that. Now, if it's an existing client that asked the question, they're going to love you all the more, right? Because you just got back to them. It's like, oh, this is why I love my real estate agent, right?
Right.
If it's someone new that just came in and they're already, again, it's not a general inquiry. It's now come from one of your best clients. We call it an unbreakable first impression. That first impression is very difficult to change. First impression goes back to that crocodile mind. First impressions stick with people. And when you do that and you've got that touch, you have an advantage over everybody else. I don't care how long they've been working with their existing realtor, any advisor. When you do that and show that touch, you now have just, we've got that unbreakable first impression. And then you go to work. And one of the things we talk about, if someone's asked me, like, name one word to describe like what the Ask My Advisor method is,
right?
We're a connector. We're a connector. So if you take from a stranger to your best client, and if there are like five dashes in between to get from the point A to point B,
right.
Well, let's skip the first one, the connection point. Let's talk about the first one's maybe a phone call, meetings. Then you follow up, identify needs, and then you look at what's the time frame.
Right.
Show houses, transactions done. Oh, we got to sell a house, all those things. There's these certain steps to get from here to here.
Right.
None of this happens without the first one. That's the connection. It's like spouses. At some point, every relationship's got a different way they've met, but at some point, there's a time they met.
Right.
We are what I believe is the most difficult part. A lot of these real estate agents, a lot of these advisors out there, they're great at when they've got clients, they're great at taking care of them, they're great at developing relationships. They want more of the connections to where they can develop into more clients, right?
Right.
We think it's one of the best ways because again, who it's focused on. It's focused on your top 20% of your clients, the center of influences.
Right.
So from there, from that connection, we help you create. Now you do what you're good at. If you're in the business more than a couple, for the failure rate's the first year or two, most real estate agents or any of those advisor businesses, they're out of the business. So if you've been in it 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 years, you're established. Well, now you do what you do. You develop the relationships, you develop more clients. So connector, I would, it's come up in other calls I do. I think we're a connector at our core is what this is.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, I've been through the software. I've seen through how it's set up. I think the key thing, if I was going to describe like where it comes in and why it's such a good fit, I hope through the content that we've covered already, just what the process is, the idea that somebody could take and run with and implement, regardless of what they decide to move forward. If you like that concept, if you like the ability to say, hey, let me love on my top 20% of my people, right? Let me really reach out and you see the value that could come from that. You see the value that comes from giving those people clear, easy permission to ask questions when they have them and making it so obvious and so blatantly clear that they actually ask. And further, that you would love to do that same level of service for their friends and family as well when they hear that they need answers to questions. And again, you make it blatantly obvious that you're actually open and ready to answer those questions. And the only next step is to make that easy for people, right? Yep. And do yourself the favor of, as you're listening to this, you could go the route and just implement the freeway. You could go the route and try and build this out on your own, right? Like you could go those ways and shoot. You'll be able to get value out of that because the process works. And that's what we're describing here is a process that just actually works. But do yourself the favor and definitely consider what Brian is up to here with Ask My Advisor, because they've given you the easy button, right? They've set this up so that instead of having to hire a developer, hire a designer, get this thing built out, or to try and, grind your way through figuring it out on your own, you could just press the easy button, get this implemented, deployed in your business. Like Brian said, 15 minutes, you'll be up and ready to use this, having it working for you, having it work on your behalf, being out there in the world. Because I mean, that's what we're describing here, Brian, right? Is that it's largely like you just got to get it available and you got to get that messaging out. And then your people go to work for you, right? They go to work for you, referring people in, sharing out that link and helping to make sure that people know that you're available to answer these questions. And so, yeah, just that's what I would advise. Take the opportunity, look at this. And if you think it's a good fit, I recommend that you check them out. We actually put together a dedicated link for people to be able to check out the service directly. That's realestategrowthhackers.com/askmyadvisor. If you go through that, you're going to be able to learn what you need to learn to get up and running, to see the pricing. Now, I know, Brian, I don't know if you want to go into exact details on all the pricing and whatnot, because I know depending on when people listen to this, things may change, the pricing may change. But I know that there's some opportunities right now in terms of, one, some opportunities that you and I have put together specific from this show that from when this is released that will go away as of Sunday after when this is released. But further, there's some opportunity in general right now getting in and being at the founder level with Ask My Advisor, right?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. One of the things, the way we've built this is we have a warning for people too, is we really have built this as established real estate agent, established advisor. Once you're in, we expect you to have this till you retire, and it's built that way. It's built to be a tool. We say it's like adding a $90,000 a year employee to the payroll for peanuts. And it's a unique thing about versus adding an employee is it's this advisor portal, this Q&A portal URL is working 24/7, 365 days a year. It's available worldwide. So finally, you do have a place to direct your clients to Q&A with you at any time. They could be anywhere around the planet, and to share you. So that's an incredibly powerful to have one place to go to do that. And like you just said, Zach, about blatantly clear, it's for Q&A. We make it crystal clear, like ridiculously clear that it's for Q&A. And that's a really important thing because, again, any gray area means inaction for people. So that's really, a key thing about the software app itself. And we made it easy to get going. Like I said, it's third grade simple. You can fill in the blank, hit publish, you're live, and you have that Q&A URL ready to go. And we are, so as founding members go, we do have a special, because there are a couple of unique things about this. We know we have very specific benchmarks of where we're at. And one of the things, we didn't get a chance to talk about this. Do you have a couple minutes for me just to run through something real quick that ties into this?
Yeah, sure.
When I was coaching these advisors over the last decade, there was a limited pool of sports agents, right? It's about 2,000, even though there's tens of thousands of people who say they're sports agents, there's really a small number that actually have clients who are doing real business, right?
Right.
So I'm coaching all these advisors, and I could never bring them all together because they're all trying to eat each other's lunch, right? They're all going after this limited pool of gatekeepers, of center influencers, right? This business is the opposite of that. Because you're only sharing this with your clients, not even someone in your office of clients, your clients, I could bring everybody together. So the first time, so I really see the value in this because I was so frustrated all these years, I could not bring everybody together in one place. So the beautiful thing is we built, originally we started out, we were going to have a Facebook group. It's a lot of business to do this. You have a Facebook group and you bring everybody together and you coach through there and you run it through there. And the problem with that is a lot of people are getting away from Facebook, right?
Right.
And also I wanted control of the experience. So but first month in, we had our Facebook group built. I scrapped it, put it on the bench. And I said, let's build, we're software builders. Let's build our own Facebook group. And I had here we go. I got a slide of what it looks like. So we built from the ground up our own it looks like Facebook group, but it's not a Facebook group. It's our own group. And what's so important about here is founding members now, when you sign up, you are going to get put in, we call it the network. Within the network is where all of the advisors come together. So accountants, attorneys, financial advisors, realtors, venture capitalists, sports agents, all come to one place.
Right.
Through the news feed is where all our coaching goes through. And a unique thing with the coaching is we've got our case studies with all our advisor members. We've got active case studies running every single day. So when someone's putting their URL out there, they're not getting much traction. That's what we're here for. We help them. What's your messaging? Let's improve the messaging. Let's get it out there.
Right.
We're going to have advisors knocking the cover off the ball. What's your messaging? What are you doing to have that work? All that's going to be in our private network group. We call it our Trojan horse because this truly is being part of this club. It's going to be a very exclusive club. And one of the things with this, so as founding members, you get access to this at no fee. This will be a $5,000 a year and above upgrade to your membership. And a unique thing about this is
you're saying normally, but as a founder, you're getting access to that.
Founding members get full access to this for goose egg right now. As we build up the network right now. And under our trusted advisor umbrella, we've got 5 channels. It's accountants, attorneys, financial advisors, realtors, and then other advisors. Under that umbrella is, sports agents, venture capitalists, mortgage brokers, those type of businesses, right? We're capping each channel at 500 right now. And the reason we're doing that is we want this, like I said, is ultimately the private access to the network becomes an incredibly high value thing.
Right.
Once we hit that cap, the founding member pricing will change and we'll adjust accordingly. And what certain channels will fill before the others, but just to let you know, there are limited spots in each of those channels. So, and we do run, I don't even think we spoke about this. We got a 60-day, no questions asked guarantee. We want people all committed. So we literally going into this, we show you the freeway, the freeway and you can use us and we want you to get results and let us know if you get results. It's great, but we'll show you that. Plugging the other services together in the webinar, we talk about in more specifics how to plug those services together. We're an education-based marketing business, so we're happy showing the 3 ways. We do feel strongly about our way. We feel it's the single best way. It's done for you. It's automatic. You can be up and live within 15 minutes, and we show you how to do that too. But there is a 60-day no questions asked guarantee. Going into it, we say people don't. I know there's certain buyers that buy because they got a guarantee. We do say people don't buy if you're only buying because of the guarantee, because you're not going to put it to work. We want the commitment. But if you get in there and, hey, it's not, no question asked, because we want people fully committed, especially because we have those caps at each of the channels of the advisors. It's very important. We've got people that are all in. And one of the things that's happening And what's so great about this, I wasn't able to working with these advisors going after a limited number of sports agents, because you're only going after your own clients. You bring in your partners, you bring in your team, you bring in your firm to be partners, because I can make the case that every advisor that's established in the business that has a top 20% of their clients, you all do, right? I can make a case why you want this app. So. Yeah. But I will say, full disclosure, I am biased. It is my app, but
fair enough. So yeah, so everybody listening, man, I fully encourage you, whether you're looking to implement the process that we just talked about for how you could leverage, focusing on the right people, which is your top 20%, giving them the right kind of messaging, which is talking about being available to answer these questions and the power that comes from that, both for them and for non-clients alike. And then giving them a place to go to actually be able to get answers to the questions and get that help. Whether you're looking to go after that free method and you want to leverage, the referral magnet blueprint, you can go to realestategrowthhackers.com/referral magnet blueprint. Or if you want to press the easy button, make it simple, and you want to consider the Ask My Advisor program itself, you can check that out at realestategrowthhackers.com/askmyadvisor. Again, either of those links, whichever one makes sense. And honestly, I do both, right? Learn the free method, start, get action on that today, and then start exploring the opportunity of leveraging the software to make it even easier. I think those are great options. So, again, thank you so much, Brian, for coming on and sharing this. I think it's a very, actionable strategy that people could be leveraging right away. I see the power of this. I see why people may not normally feel like they could refer, right? They may feel like there's too much potential for tire kicking, so they don't want to be a burden on you. This makes it so that there's no questions. We make it really clear by giving them the opportunity to ask those questions, to send people your way to ask those questions, and you use the tools, the psychology, in order to make it really easy for people to do. So I love it. Thanks again for coming on. Do you have any quick parting words for people as we go out to implement this?
Yeah, one thing you just noted, I can't believe I haven't said this for the whole time we've been on here. Using this method,
right?
If you notice, you never ask for a referral. You literally just open yourself up for Q&A. That's where the referral happens, but you never ask for a referral. We always say, it's the idea of, I see in business, asking for referrals can be low status at times. Clients get uncomfortable. We don't always remember as agents, as advisors, to do it. And then sometimes it's a tough thing. Even though we know the average one wants to refer you, it's often uncomfortable. This way, it's a natural way to segue into getting referrals. We always say it's, get referrals by never asking, and that's a really key thing. The other thing too is on that second.
Real quick on that. I mean, that is a really powerful point, because again, I mean, literally, if I came to you and I asked you, hey, who do you know who needs to buy my stuff? That's a very different question than, hey, I want to let you know I'm available. If you know of anybody that has any questions about this stuff, I'm an open book. I'd love to help them. I'd love to answer their questions and be there for you in that way. It's like, that's night and day in terms of one of them. It's like, sure, if you know of something that you really feel like they're going to buy it and you know that they'd get value, you'd still refer them. But the number of people that are there versus the number of people that you're like, oh yeah, this person had a question. I know Zach could be helpful to them on this question. You're much more likely to refer that out. So yeah, that's a night and day difference. That's super powerful. So,
well, another thing too, with what you just said, you're still the same person.
Right.
It's the access that you gave to you that's different. That's the distinction. That's a really key thing, because even I may know a lot of people. You can put on the spot, hey, who can you refer? Well, then nothing happens.
Right.
If you're specific, hey, anything comes up, I got this place that's available 24/7, available just to come. I'm here. I'm happy to help you, of course.
Right.
It's only available for a small group of my handpicked clients, but you're welcome to share this place with people in your life that have questions, have needs, need second opinion, or have needs.
Right.
And it's there, and it's working for you 24/7. So you don't have to remember, because the hardest thing too is a lot of times people forget to ask for for the referrals, or they ask in odd ways or those things. This removes that. It automates it, and we'll do things, and we show you ways to stay in top of mind. But the word access comes up a lot. It's about giving an access to you they don't necessarily have now. We get rid of the gray area, we make it crystal clear, make it black and white.
Perfect. And then you said there was a second point. Do you remember what that was?
The second point, yes, thank you for remembering. On the URL, the second URL you shared, there'll be access to the webinar. We go into this a little bit deeper. And then if you're ready to get going, like I said, there's a 60 no question else guarantee. If you understand the method enough and ready to go, there'll be the URL to go direct and come in as a founding member. We have space. We have, like I said, it's the 500 in each of those categories. We have space for realtors as of now. So
perfect. Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome.
So again, guys, if you want to check it out, there's two places that you can go. realestategrowthhackers.com/referral magnet blueprint is where you can go to get that free method, right? You can implement this right away. If you want to check out the service itself, realestategrowthhackers.com/askmyadvisor. Either of those links will let them know that you came through the show, and we appreciate any level of appreciation that you show for what we're doing here and how we're helping you with your real estate marketing. But regardless, I encourage you to check it out either way. Brian, again, it's been wonderful to have you on. Thanks for sharing so much value, so much actionable content. I hope that people go out and take action, that they take us up on the invitation to check out what you're up to, because I think they'll be really well served by implementing this process into their business. So again, thank you so much for coming on.
I love it. Thanks, Zach. I appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Growth Hacker Show. Remember, done is better than perfect. To turn the marketing ideas and tactics you just learned into real growth for your real estate business, visit us at realestategrowthhackers.com. If you like this episode, consider sharing it with another real estate professional who could benefit from the information. Or maybe you'd like to subscribe to the show to never miss an episode. You can leave a rating or review on iTunes with your biggest takeaway, helping this show to reach and help more people just like you. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next episode.